Now, I know when we started this Afterburner last year, it was a horrendous run. We would come on and do these shows after loss, after loss, after loss, and it got to the point that we were being blamed for the poor results on the ice. Now, I don't know how many you and I have done together, but it feels like we've been here for a lot of wins. New Year's Eve, Philadelphia, win. Tonight, win. I know we've done at least one. Other than that, I don't think we've sat here and had to bemoan a poor effort.
I think I'm usually with Pinder for those ones.
Winners. Yeah, that's you and me, winners. Coincidence? I think not. So, not what I was expecting tonight, to be quite honest. Not necessarily a Flames win necessarily. I did not see 6 goals in the first period. I did not see at least a couple of S-Burger type goals. There's a lot to get into. I guess just your thoughts. And I know it's one of those cliche things, and they talked about it on the broadcast, but it's true. That's a heck of a road game. You want to go in and play well. And it wasn't a road game in which let's really bore the fans to sleep or really kind of keep things under control. There were chances at both ends. So maybe it's not a good road game, but they came in and again showed a lot of zip, a lot of emotion. They were on the puck. They played pretty well. This is it's weird getting used to this, Cami.
We kind of saw a little bit of everything. We saw the fast goals coming in different ways. We saw creativity. We saw speed. And at the start of the season, everyone was just dreading watching this team trying to get the wheels going because it felt like they just couldn't skate. And it felt like they were dictating the push of this. And the Vladar blip aside, I would say this was pretty close to a hell of a road game. But I do have to say what happened to Dennis Gilbert in just about the final 5 minutes there totally took the wind out of the sails for me. It was hard watching him lay there. I don't think he can totally celebrate this win until we have an update on how he's doing. Shout out to Kent Kabelka and the team staff for being there for him right away and the guys helping him off the ice. But that's clouding what was a really great game for me.
He got, for those that didn't see it, they called it a slew foot. Now, I don't know. It didn't look like the traditional slew foot to me. Tomasino comes in and finishes him hard along the boards. And I guess his leg is kind of trailing. It's one of those, everyone's going to have an opinion on it. I don't know. He wanted to finish him. He was coming in with the intent to lay the body and do it hard. But I don't know that I see that necessarily as the traditional slew foot. He gets a match penalty for it. They get a 5-minute power play out of it. But to your point, he was out. If not out cold, then he was certainly heavily dazed for a period of time.
And the relief you feel when you see him move his arm on the broadcast.
Yeah, squeezing Kabelka's hands there. But even coming off the ice, as they were he was moving one leg. It was rubber legs for him. That's what looks to be a pretty serious concussion. So you hope he's okay.
And I think he would have been going down regardless of how that check was finished. It looked like he was a little off balance and going to go down anyway when the contact happened. It's just that it looked like he kind of got him above the knee, and that brought his right leg way off. And that was when he started to go down at that tough angle where it looked like his neck and head took the brunt of that hit on the ice.
And the hit itself, like you say, wasn't what did the damage. He hit his head hard on the ice. So obviously we're not going to know anything tonight on this, or even the team won't know. Hopefully he'll be all right with it. And it's funny, I had it in my notes. I really liked this game tonight. They did make the D. Simone for Osterley change. Gilbert's kind of been the mainstay as other guys have rotated in and out. He's been the guy that stayed there, and I really liked his game tonight. So it is unfortunate, regardless of how he played. But Vladar gets the start. Were you a little surprised to see Vladar in the net for this one?
Yeah. I thought it would have made a lot more sense to use him on the back-to-back, unless maybe the team is thinking this is another opportunity where they want to showcase him as a potential trade piece. If you're thinking you want to keep Markstrom and go to a Markstrom-Wolf tandem down the road, it could have been a good showing for him. I don't know that it turned out that way. There were certainly some sensational saves for him. A couple that I really liked, one that led to a goal that we're going to talk about in a bit here. But then there were a couple gaffes and spots where he just really didn't look steady Obviously, he tries to bat the puck into the corner. It goes off his arm. But even a couple more where he was seemed very unaware of where the puck was.
It's funny how I guess you throw in the Christmas break because you had a few days there, but it was his first start in 7 games, and you started to track that back. It sounds okay. That in and of itself, that's a long time. Last start December 16th. We're well into January at this point. So for him, and then the play he makes in the third period to go and bat the puck to the corner and it grazes off of his arm and goes in. It's one of those plays, Cami. If you were to try that now, go out and try and find a way with your blocker. We're going to sift some pucks in about shoulder height. I want you to try and go and hit it with your blocker and have it go right behind you in the net. He wouldn't be able to do it. It was such a fluke kind of a thing. I felt bad for him. The thing about him, regardless of how he performs, whether there's some soft goals or whatever, he is a battler. And you watch him in the crease and he doesn't give up on pucks, and he's fighting to see it, he's fighting to find it. And there were a few occasions tonight too where I think he showed that he was ready to go.
And UC Suro certainly was not ready to go.
No,
and
he was not. Yeah.
Vladar finishes with the .912 save percentage, so credit to him for that.
Yeah. And as I think Great Millen talked about it a couple of times, the team and for him, after that muff goes in to start the third period, he settled in nicely and they continued to cruise. So you would expect he'll play one of the back-to-backs. They've got Philadelphia on Saturday, Chicago on Sunday. Both of them are matinee games. Likely he'll get one, so they'll split the road trip. And if we've seen anything, Markstrom pretty good with a little bit of time off. So we'll see how that kind of shakes down. Let's do our highlight of the night for Betway. Let's get right to it. We had, like you had said, isn't it nice to have a few options to choose from? Some nights it's pretty clear or you're scraping or digging to find something that's going to qualify for the highlight of the night. Not tonight, courtesy of Betway. Get the Betway app on your phone. Our betting partners, our gaming partners on Afterburner and Barnburner, it's Betway. Bet the responsible way with Betway. We go to the end of the second period. Those are killers. I can only imagine when you go into the locker room, you're down by 2, you're thinking, okay, if we can get one early, then it's a 1-goal game and we'll be right back into this thing. And then with a second left, less than a second left, you give one up and it's a 3-goal game. It just takes all the wind out of your sails, or whatever wind you're hoping to get.
Crazy things happen in the last minutes of games, last couple seconds of periods. We see that at like major tournaments. We saw that just happen to Canada getting knocked out of World Juniors. That was great to see for Noah Hannafin. It feels like he's been having quite a solid offensive season, but he's actually been held without a point for about 5 games. That's his first goal since November 30th, but he's just still been such a driver, and the defense as a whole has been such a driver of the offense that you wouldn't think it had been that long for him.
Yeah. He is one of those guys, Cami, I think that if and when he leaves, whether it's by trade or as a free agent, he will be one of those guys you won't know what you're missing until he's gone. And then you realize the minutes, the skating, the ability to just skate his way out of trouble in his own end, because he makes it look so easy and you just kind of get used to him. You as a observer or a fan, you watch it, you never feel like when Zadorov had the puck, it was always kind of a white knuckle ride until that puck got out over the blue line. You don't have that with Hannafin. You feel far more at ease. Your chest isn't tight. So there is some ease to his game. And I went back to look and said, how was he got for points this year? Because it feels like he's involved in the offense a lot. And he did have that drought, like you said. But that'll be the highlight of the night. A great save at one end. Isn't that always the way? Get a save at one end and then the goal at the other as the Flames stretch their lead at the tail end of the second period. That's our Betway highlight of the night. Get the Betway app on your tablet, your phone, your desk, wherever you get it. Just get it, and then bet the responsible way with Betway. We'll do a little bit of Hungry for More. Little Village Honda, the road ahead. The road trip continues, but still things we got to get into. Want to talk about this guy? I mean, if Zary jerseys aren't flying off the shelves, I don't know what it's going to take. Mangiapane, loving life with the back line, and what a snub to the real all-star on this team. It's all coming up. Stay there. 2 minutes. Greta, it's our home away from home for Afterburner. We'll be there for live watch parties throughout the season. Should be your spot regardless. Before, during, and after the game, grab a cocktail, something from the menu, let the games begin, or maybe you get into the game yourself. Over 50 arcade games from vintage to state-of-the-art. Load up some credits on that Greta game card of yours and get at it. Greta Calgary, located at 213 10th Avenue Southwest. Check them out online, gretabar.com. Wendy's is letting you win real food with your fantasy teams this year with the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. For those of you who smoke the competition, Wendy's is rewarding you with weekly prizes that'll have you winning despite your lack of team-building skills. Sign up to play the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian owned and operated since 1972. More than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program and an unbeatable pricing policy. The holidays are here, can you tell? It's the perfect time to check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mined diamonds, and don't pay until 2025 with their instant in-store financing OAC. For more information, go online, charmdiamondcenters.com.
BK Beaufort Liquor is a proud sponsor of Afterburner. In fact, our very first sponsor ever, right back to our first Afterburner ever. Big thank you to Mandeep, Manjeet, and Jazz. Huge Flames fans, a heck of a family. Good-looking cashier, Mandeep, as well. Find them right across from Winsport on the Trans-Canada Highway. Whether you're grabbing some beer for your place in town or you're heading to the mountains, make sure you stop in, say hello. Whether it's a specialty wine, liquor, six-pack of beer, whatever it is, check it out and grab it at BK Beaufort Liquor.
We were talking on the other show today. I think the Flames, somebody had put a poll on X. Who should the Flames All-Star be, or who is it going to be? And obviously Coleman was one, and Kadri was one. I'm trying to remember, and then there was somebody else, and it was, I think, over 40% had Blake Coleman. I'm not even sure if Elias Lindholm was on that list, so maybe it was the fault of the poll. But there you see it, Elias Lindholm named to the All-Star game, which is coming up later this month, or I guess early February in Toronto. I was surprised. I guess my mind, I had not gotten there in any way, shape, or form that he was going to be the All-Star. Are you caught off guard as I?
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting it. He said in his interview with Flames TV, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be at the top of that draft, referring to the All-Stars draft in Toronto. He said probably more in the bottom. If you're last, you get a car, so I might have a chance at that. Like, there's being self-deprecating, but I honestly don't think he even expected it. I think this is kind of a pick based on name recognition and past accomplishments. Like, third on the Flames in scoring, hasn't had a hot streak that would make me say this guy is heating up and a difference maker for this team. Like, he has 2 game winners that came in October, November, and a couple power play goals, but so does Kadri. And I think, like, what's the category he leads on the Flames? Ice time? Ice time isn't an event at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I guess I get it, because to your point, this would clearly be a name value kind of a thing. And I don't know if you go down, if somebody else comes along or it has to go to the game as well. I don't know that necessarily it's going to be Coleman. It could be Rasmus Anderson or somebody like that on the back end. I don't know. I kind of feel for Blake Coleman. I don't think there's been many occasions where he has led his hockey team in scoring, probably not since he was a kid. He had a couple of 20-plus goal seasons in New Jersey, but outside of that, he's been a role guy and has accepted that role and played hard on a third line. But this year he does, and has another goal and an assist tonight, so he wasn't too pissed off about it. But you kind of feel for him that this, if there ever was a year that he could have gone and maybe should have gone, this would have been it. So I guess he'll just have to. Yeah.
He's won the damn thing.
Guess he'll just have to survive with the cheerleader wife and beautiful life. We talked about this.
You said this last time.
Kind of keep
not hung up on it or anything.
No, not at all.
Like, I think there could have been a case for Markstrom to go. There certainly could have been a case for Zary to go. Just in terms of excitement, it would have been cool to see him in some of those more unique competitions because he has been kind of the creative force for this team. But again, like we have one of the best scoring, the Flames have one of the best scoring blue lines in the league. Why wouldn't one of those guys necessarily get a shot? So I do think this is a bit of an oversight. No shade to Lindholm. He's obviously a very solid player. But
and I'm fine.
It's not the name that comes to mind.
I don't get too bent out of shape about who goes into the Hall of Fame. I don't really care who goes to the All-Star game. I don't care. What the one little thing here, when Craig Conroy, when the time comes, if he's going to be he's trading an All-Star. Their All-Star #1 center, right? It's just another little thing in there. Well, he's having an All-Star season. I know you can talk about his numbers, but he was an All-Star. It's all about how you frame it. All about how you
just wait until they change the name to the Some Stars game.
Let's do a little DoorDash hungry for more. With DoorDash, of course. I mean, how easy could it get any easier? You get the app on your phone, and then you get what you want from where you want, whenever you want. Don't worry about cooking dinner or running to the store. Let it come to you with DoorDash. There's restaurants, groceries, pharmacies, bakeries, flower shops, and more. Download the app. And for a limited time, you will get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more with that promo code right there, Nation25, Nation25. As we get into a little hungry for more for DoorDash, I've got you. What would you like to start? Do you have somebody tonight that you're a little hungry for?
I was going to say Lindholm, actually. But
I
feel like we kind of... Yeah, our All-Star. I feel like we kind of talked about him. And I was going to say, like, hungry for more in a positive way. We did see some really good looks from him tonight. The one that kind of sticks out to me was he had that slick move around the defender in the second period to get some space. And he had a great setup for Sharangovich, who got robbed by Saros.
Yeah, he did.
And then those two do eventually link up for what was essentially an empty net goal, with Lindholm stripping the puck from Lankinen behind the net, and he pushes it up to Sharangovich for the gimme. So I was going to say him, but I do think there's a case to be said for hungry more again in a good way for Andrew Mangiapane.
Yeah, he has. You wonder about him because he had that big season 2 years ago, and then has the injury season a year ago. And so, what is it? Are you the 30-goal guy and you were just hurt, or because now you're healthy? You got the injury, everything's taken care of. You couldn't wait to get into this season, and the points weren't there. And has moved around the top 9 a little bit. And you just had that feeling, didn't you? Because over the years, whenever he has lined up with Backlund and Coleman, those three just seem to be, there's a real chemistry there. And it started whatever it was, 3 games ago, and he has 5 points in 3 games. So life is good for Andrew Mangiapane, and it's sorry for Huberdeau or whatever else it is. It's now at a point again where you can't disrupt that line to try and maneuver or position or hide, depending on where you are on the day on Huberdeau. That line it's one of their best. It could be their best line on any given night, and I don't think Huska can touch it right now.
Why would you? Why would you? The kid line's gotten a little quiet. I think good on Pospisil. He had a pretty big shot block tonight. He had his ice time kind of cut against Minnesota. It kind of reminds me of earlier in the season where he got taken out for a game, and they're just saying, listen, like some of the habits, the good habits you've gotten away from, time to just kind of take a watch.
Yeah.
Find your game again. And I think he did do some of that tonight, although his ice time was a little more limited than we've seen in some games this season when that kid line with him, Zary, and Kadri was really clicking.
I wasn't, because it is a shot block. It'll go down as a shot block. There's the kind that Tanov will do, or Anderson, where you put your body part in the path of the puck. It was more like a less deliberate. He was in the way. I'm gonna try, and I'm kind of in the way, and then he got hit with it. You could tell it hurt. He got hit with
and then the
puck.
second one, he's like, oh no, it's too far.
Jesus, again. All right, well, fair enough. But no, because I did look at ice time in the third, because I wondered if Ruzicka missed some time, but he had some shifts in the third after that knee-on-knee hit from, Tomasino, the same guy that leveled Gilbert. So that's hungry for more. Keep it going, Andrew Mangiapane. Keep delivering, fella. Don't worry about it. Get it done. It comes right to your door, right outside your front door with default contactless delivery setting, depending whatever you want. You just open the app and just start picking away. Dash that for the win with DoorDash. And I was actually going to mention that I mean, not you said you weren't really the kid line, if we want to call it that, with Kadri. I can't get enough of Connor Zary, and it's kind of a broken record for me, I guess. But you watch him again, and I thought that he's the straw that's stirring the drink a lot of these nights. And I think he had gone 4 games without a point. He gets the first goal.
In the second too, yeah. He drew the tripping call to put the Flames back on the power play, which hadn't been getting very good looks for quite a long time. And then on the power play, he has this move where he cuts towards the net and it looks like he's going to shoot, but he ends up passing back like almost through the blue paint to Sharangovich, which would have been a glorious chance. Sharangovich can't quite pull the trigger on that one, but again, just creating, and others are feeling the benefit of it as well.
He gets an assist on the Rasmus Andersson goal as well, so a 2-point first period, and was on for the Kadri goal where, I don't know if he's the decoy or whatever you want to call it, but he's steaming to the far back post. If he's not going as hard as he is, then the defender doesn't have to pay attention to him, and Saros doesn't have to kind of keep an eye on him, which allows Kadri to cut to the middle and get that goal. So I think we're watching a special player in the making here, and we've talked about it a ton. I don't know if at the start of the season you would have picked him to be one of the top prospects, but there's some real smarts and skill, and there's a little grit there. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of this guy, and just keep on going. I see in the comments people are, what about Sharangovich? I'm in on Sharangovich.
One goal away from matching his total from last season when people thought he was going to be a bust, and why into the summer, why is Conroy trading for this guy?
Up to, like you say, he's one off of his total from a year ago and was ice cold to start the season. Was on the 4th line, the 1st line, the 3rd line, back to the 4th. He was all over the place, and we talked about it. I've kind of felt sorry for the guy because you come into a new city and a new team, you want to endear yourself, you want the fans to like you want your teammates to like you, your coaches and all of that, and then you just can't find a spot. You're not you're not playing well, and you can feel it. But then he settled right in, and on any given night, he can get things going. And he had that chance in the slot that you mentioned on that power play chance, a great chance there, and then gets the gift off the turnover that was forced by Lindholm. But a lot to like about this guy. I'm with you. I was one of them, I think, at the start of the year. Because what did we know about Sharangovich? Well, he's got good speed, and he's young, and he's this, and he's that, and he had 24 goals a few years ago. And you're always, okay, well, why was it a few years ago? And what's happened since? And why was New Jersey willing to just let go of this young forward who had 24 goals? But I do think you're starting to see why. He looks like a guy who's pretty comfortable right now. And so for everybody that's in the chat, a little bit of love for Sharangovich there, if you needed it, I suppose.
And like, don't look now, but Calgary's got points in 8 of their last 10. They're 1 point out of a wild card position. They're over 500. They've won in Nashville for the first time since April 26, 2022.
I don't know how I feel about it. Still don't know how I feel about it.
You know what's crazy though? You remember how last season it was just a battle for this team to win 3 games in a row?
Mm-hmm. They've done it twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And if they can
won 3, dropped a couple, and now it's 3 in a row again. So,
and if you can pull out another one against Philadelphia, you'll have your first 4-game win streak since April 23. The last 4 games to end the season.
I don't want to be that guy when the team has won. They're on a 3-game winning streak and points and 8 of 10, and it's all very good. I don't want to be that guy that's going to come on and rain on the parade. They're still
not like what this is doing to the draft position.
They're still very close to the bottom as well. I don't know what should we be wanting to see exciting hockey games and be entertained, but they don't get points. Just no more points. Or what the hell? If you guys are going to play and you're going to play for each other and the coach has you going and your goalie's going to play as well as he has, then try and get in and make some noise, because by the time you're out of the top 6, 7, 8, 10 picks anyway, what the hell does it matter? So now you may as well just try and win a round, I suppose. I just don't know, because we're now into January and I really felt that this was a different hockey team when we were a month into the season. I would not have picked them to be where they're at right now.
You wouldn't have? You wouldn't have picked them to be hovering around 500?
No. After that 6-game skid,
Yeah, fair.
they couldn't complete passes. I just vividly remember where I was. I was watching that game against St. Louis when Huberdeau got benched for much of the third period and then came back for the power play. It was a dreadful thing to watch. And I felt for Conroy. I felt for Huska. These guys just looked listless. They looked like a team that didn't have a superstar, that wasn't going to be able to score, and their goaltending wasn't going to be able to be all world enough to get them through. But along the way, something happens, and now they do look like they have some chemistry throughout the lineup. And I still think that scoring is, on a night where they score 6 times, I still think that they're offensively challenged. And if something's going to happen for them, it's going to have to be by way of their goaltending and defense. And I still look at the West and I just don't know. I don't put them in the top. When I watch Colorado or Vegas or Dallas or LA or any of these teams, but there they are. And you can't blame them for winning. The coaches are paid to win. And they're going to keep putting those guys in a position to win. So I'm happy for Huska, because I'm not sure that there were a lot of people that were overly pumped that he was going to be the guy. I think there were some, don't bring in another rookie coach. Can we have a coach with some experience? So they brought him in, and I'm not sure that everybody was too pumped about it, but I think he and his entire staff have done a pretty good job. You talk about the penalty kill, the power play. I mean, they get a goal tonight, but all things considered, I feel like you are getting terrific performance out of this roster, because I don't think there's a lot of, well, even Blake Coleman's leading them in scoring, right? This is a team. There's no stars here. They're finding a way as a group, and there's something to like about that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can always appreciate the blue collar mentality of a team that doesn't have like the go-to superstar who's going to get you 100 points. But then, like, if you want them to be losing the right way and still garnering that kind of excitement while not getting the points, what are you making of this schedule? Because now they have like the reverse gauntlet coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 1 point out of that playoff spot. Not saying that this is a team that looks like it's going to be a contender, but it's a team that could get in.
Because you look at points percentage, and they were, about a week ago, we talked about it the other day. They were getting points, but they weren't making up a ton of ground. Well, they've essentially caught the Kraken now in terms of points percentage, and there's some distance because they just beat the Wild. And the Ducks I just don't think the Ducks, Hawks, and Sharks are going to do a whole lot of winning. And then when you start to look league wide, anyway, we just got to, you know what? Let's let them play the games. Hey, we'll just let them play. Rather than try and crystal ball this thing, let's just see what happens. There's an all-star break. That always happens too. They play well, and then they take the all-star break, and then they come back, and they're no good.
Slushy.
They're all sunburnt and, yeah, that sort of thing. We'll do the road ahead. You mentioned what's coming up for them, the reverse gauntlet. We'll take a look at what awaits the Flames for Village Honda, and we'll get your questions. If you got one that's just burning inside you, you can get it into the chat either by Facebook or YouTube, and we'll get to those in a couple minutes. 2 minutes. Stay there.
Derek Newman of Newman Deems Real Estate Group with CIR Realty are proud sponsors of Afterburner. Born and raised in Calgary, Derek not only loves talking sports, golfing, but he's an avid sports fan. He's happy to talk sports or real estate with you. Complimentary in-house staging consultations, finding homes not on the market. If you're buying for the first time or a seasoned seller of homes, chat with Derek and he'll help you achieve your goals. If you're interested in buying or selling in the greater Calgary area, call Derek or text him at 403-619-6661 and let Derek put his network to work for you. That's Derek Newman for Newman Deans Real Estate Group with CIR Realty.
We are well into the winter months now, and you can feel it, can't you? That urge to get away. Maybe some beach time to warm up those bones of yours, maybe a hockey, sports kind of road trip. Well, when you pack your bags, make sure you don't forget Alberta Blue Cross. There's only one thing better than sharing memories, and that's making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance protects your memories and more, wherever travel takes you. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. Alberta Blue Cross, celebrating life's memorable moments inspired by hockey.
It's hockey season. Get ready to cheer on your favorite teams with us at the Stage Bar at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Enjoy the game on one of their huge, large screens with friends, drinks, and delicious food. Let's go. Visit GreyEagleResortAndCasino.ca for more information. How about this information? Happy hour. Doesn't get much happier than this. 3 hours of happy hour. Let's make the most of the day and your afternoons with great drinks and food. Join us at the Stage Bar and Blaze Bar and Grill for the new happy hour. Every day, 2 till 5. Great food, specialty drinks, all starting at $5. Visit GreyEagleResortAndCasino.ca for more information.
Do you miss my my Christmas tree?
It looks a little empty behind you.
Doesn't it?
What's that art on your wall?
That is a shot of
Oh.
that's from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It is one of my favorites, and that's Steve Martin and John Candy at the end of the movie after they have been, spoiler alert, but after they've kind of been like this, certainly on the side of Neil Page, it's been like this. Then Neil feels he's got to take Del with him home for Thanksgiving because he learns at the end of the movie. It's very sad. My wife can't watch it because John Candy, God love John Candy, he has a very emotional kind of monologue near the end of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and she can't watch it. She's like, this just makes me so sad. I can't watch it.
I feel like I'd be in the same boat as her. I can't do the sad movies. Like the Buzz Lightyear movie made me cry. Can't hack it.
Yeah, it's not, and again, it's a very funny movie, but it just gets very real at the end. You just feel for the old shower ring curtain salesman. Shower rings. You gotta watch it, Cami. I mean,
I'll add it to the list. Adding to the list now.
do it right now. Add it to your list. What are you doing later? Go and watch it tonight. No excuses. The road ahead is brought to you by Village Honda. See what we did there? It's the road ahead. Village Honda cars on the road.
I smell what you're stepping in.
Yeah. Huge selection of used vehicles, all makes, all models, and all budgets. 70 units on site, more than 400 more. Access inside the dealership group. They are worth the trip. Quality humans, quality vehicles. Your dealership for life is Village Honda. We've kind of talked about it already, but they are on a road trip and a couple stops before it's all said and done on the road ahead. Little Saturday matinee, 11 o'clock Mountain Time. I can't imagine these are easy or enjoyable to play in. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, players hate it. Throws you off your rhythm.
11 a.m. Mountain Time Saturday in Philadelphia. The next day, 1 p.m. Mountain in Chicago. And I think Millen referenced it at the end of the broadcast about whoever's making the schedule. Now, maybe you don't want to go out for 6 or 7 games. Started in Minnesota, then Nashville tonight, off to Philly, then Chicago, home for 1, and then out to Phoenix and Vegas.
A
And then they
home
return
game
home for
as
a
a
bunch,
treat.
but- Little
yeah, as you
Ottawa
mentioned-
Senators on a Tuesday. You know,
Get up.
where would we be if we didn't have that Senators on a Tuesday matchup. So that's what awaits them. And I guess because you had talked about it, the non-gauntlet run.
Mhm. Well, you
Philadelphia,
they're
they've already
struggling right
beaten.
now.
Yeah, Philly, they've already beaten Chicago near the bottom of the standings. Ottawa is having a hard time. Phoenix, I don't think is going to be an easy one. We know what Vegas is. Then you've got the Coyotes again, but on home ice. Then it gets a little tough. You got the Leafs, you got the Oilers, St. Louis, who knows? And then it's Columbus and Chicago to win the month. So again, I kind of throw the brakes on when we start talking about winnable games and teams that you should be beating. Well, who are you when you're not in a playoff spot? Who are you to be deciding who's a winnable team or a winnable game? Other teams are starting their backups against you. I just don't know how that works. But playing the way they've been playing, this again, credit where it's due. They won 6 of their last 8. It would seem like they have a chance to win a good chunk of these games before the end of January.
One, thank you. I can't remember the last time I heard a Phoenix, Arizona slip.
Oh, did I say
Really
it?
takes me back. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that Calgary has proved is strength of schedule means nothing to them.
True.
They're likelier to do better on the true gauntlet than they are against the teams they should beat, Senators in particular. And these teams will be hungry to beat them. I mean, Philly dropped the shootout loss to Columbus tonight. They've lost 4 in a row. Chicago's lost 4 in a row. One of the worst teams in goals scored, worst in most categories. And now the Sens, they're 3-7-0 in their last 10. And we don't think it's going to be going much better against
They
Seattle
got
tonight.
the Flames right where they want them. That's how it goes. To your point, they better play Vegas and Dallas and Colorado. Play those teams but maybe they've got things a little more figured out.
And then you guys are going on vacation.
Things never go quite like you would expect. You never know where those teams are in terms of their injuries. Like the Minnesota Wild the other night, they have been terrific. 11-4 or 11-5, I guess it was, since John Hines had taken over. And if you were looking 2 weeks out, you would think, here's a team. This team's a juggernaut. They're going to be hard, except Kaprizov is out and Zuccarello is out. And, they got smashed by the injury bug. And you could tell in that game the other night that that's not the team that had been rattling off all these wins. So who knows? There again, we just got to let them play them. We're just going to have to let them play these games, Cami. As much as we call up Gary and say, you know what, let's just play 60 this year. Little bugger's going to.
I think we got these ones. Just give us the points.
I don't want him to play 82. That's what he's going to want to do. Just before we get into questions, just wondering if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. Feel for Coleman. Should have been a star. And that would have meant something to him because, to your point, I almost feel Lindholm probably feels like, why am I going? I'm not having an all-star.
He probably feels robbed of a vacation.
Probably. Yeah, he probably had. So no Turks and Caicos then? Toronto? Great. That's
Come on.
Awesome. But
it's the NHL. They're going on an all-inclusive to Mexico.
There would be, I think, probably some of them, some part of him that would be, if not embarrassed, you'd be, geez, I'm proud to be going, but I don't have the numbers to back this up. So I think there'd be, if nothing else, maybe just a little bit of sheepish kind of emotion there coming from him. But you got to go. Because if you don't go, you get suspended for a game. Remember Alexander Ovechkin didn't go? He says, I'm not going. They said, really, eh? See that Bettman, he's a bully.
In all those years that Crosby was magically injured around that time?
Yeah. Pulled my what's-a-doodle right in the last game before the All-Star break. You'd hate to go to the All-Star game. Oh, and aggravate it? Can't have it. The games after the All-Star break are so important. Trade deadline's coming. Can't be injured for that.
And as we've just been reminded in the chat, like if you do feel that strongly, if you want Coleman to have his moment, you can still vote him in. And it would not be as painful as John Scott getting the call to that game.
Yeah, I never cared about that either.
I felt for him. When I lived out east, there was this the Halifax Progress Club celebrity sports dinner, and that season he was one of the guests of honor with Cito Gaston and Eric Lindros. And after the dinner, like a whole bunch of people from the event kind of hit the town that night. And I felt so bad for John Scott because he was so nice, but he was so tall and so recognizable. And people were like swarming him, trying to talk about it because he'd just been playing in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
At one point, he started walking like a velociraptor to try to make himself look shorter so he could blend in with this huge group of people. And random people on Pizza Corner in Halifax and Dirty Nellies wouldn't harass him. And he was just the nicest man.
Oh, yeah, true. I mean, true. And you'd have to have a real good sense of humor to go through with that, because people are voting you in because you least deserve out of everybody to be an all-star. You are the least likely, so we're going to pick you.
You are the meme vote.
There would be some embarrassment, to be sure, but he went with it, and at the end of the day, what harm was done? Nothing, right? So, and didn't they change it?
And then Gary got a little pissy.
Yeah, then Gary.
Why
gets
you so pissy, Gary?
Why, Gary? Why? Let's get some questions in before we pack it in here. We can go. So how do you do it? You get on the Facebook and you clickety click, or you get on YouTube or you clickety click. I think that's how it goes. And if you're watching on one of the other platforms, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you're on X or on Instagram.
Oh, I thought you were talking about all-star voting.
No. Big time Carter chiming in. Are we selling low on Lindy? What's a fair extension for him considering the cap is increasing? Honestly, I just don't see a place for him here. I really don't. It would have to be at such a hometown discount. He would never take it. This has been a season, I think, that has cost him money. I saw Frank Seravalli was talking on one of the other shows that Lindholm wanted 9, north of 9, and it feels like that's long gone, that he's now in 8. He just doesn't strike me as a guy that wants to stay here. We've heard from Hanifin that, yeah, I would stay, and then things didn't go, and then there was an extension, then it wasn't. It just felt like everybody else was kind of amenable to at least thinking or talking about a long-term stay. It has not felt that way to me with Lindholm at all. And I think some of you can see it in his play. We talked about it on the other show, and Red's held no punches. Like, this guy looks like he's just counting the days till he can get out of here. Like, get him out of here. If he's moping around, his play is nowhere near what it could be or should be. And I don't know, maybe that's unfair. Maybe you have things going on off the ice that change or affect how you play, and maybe he isn't feeling the way that we think he is. But I don't want to overpay anyone, and I don't want a guy here who's only staying because the money's so good he couldn't turn it down.
The one thing I think about with Lindholm is when you go back to those postseason pressers last year when he's out with Backlund, and it sounded like both of them were out essentially.
Yeah.
It was so much easier to see Backlund being the one staying, one because he had just been here for so long and he was kind of Calgary grown. But the Flames are really big about sharing all of their community initiatives on social media. And you see guys like Backlund's out there for every single one of them. Backlund's going out to Children's Hospital, to the world's longest hockey games, meeting all the people he can. Dylan Dubé is another guy who goes out to like all of the events. I don't know that I've seen Lindholm. And again, like, if it's not your bag, it's not your bag. But Calgary is a market that really appreciates those players that will do those things to ingratiate themselves to the community. And if it's not for him, go find your fit somewhere else, but don't sell low on him. Milk it at the trade deadline. Honestly, for a contending team, he's probably what you want for your second line.
Yeah, I
complimentary piece.
Because I saw somebody say he might be untradeable. That's not the case. His contract is a good one. He's not making crazy money, and especially if you ate some money, and I do believe that the team will, if the right deal is there on a Hanifin deal or a Markstrom deal, which again I feel is a real long shot. But if there is a way to sweeten the pot and make it more attractive for another team to up the ante in terms of assets coming your way, I do think that the Flames will be looking to eat money on a contract. We've talked about the same two teams. You talk about Boston, you talk about Colorado. Those are two teams that would seem to be in a real good spot to do some winning, and both have a real need down the middle. And a guy like Lindholm would seem to be a great fit. And I think for both of those teams, you wouldn't look so much at what is he doing this year. It's what does he do when you surround him with world-class players. And the last time we saw that, he was centering the best line in hockey. And that may not ever happen again, but is that guy good enough to surround with higher quality players and be on a second line on a potential cup favorite? I think so. So I do think that you put it all together, and I just don't see how Lindholm stays because I don't think there's the desire. I don't think you want to pay him, and I do think somebody will give you a package that's going to make you pull the trigger. That's got to be the hope anyway. So, and as far as that other stuff, I don't know. You know, I don't want to speak for what he does or doesn't do in the community. I have no idea, but it just doesn't feel like a guy that's, you know, Markstrom was up singing country music at the Stampede or whatever. I don't see.
Listen, people were trying to shovel Johnny's driveway, trying to keep him to stay. I don't know that anyone's doing that at Lindy's place.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's take a look at
what's in a house or what. He's one of those apartment people.
Yeah, those apartment people. You're not one of them, are you? Kaya. If Shillington comes back and Hanifin has been traded, is there a good case for keeping Tanov? Is this a playoff team? What are you doing? Are you trying to make the playoffs and win this year, or are you trying to? Because I would say no. I would say above everybody else, there's not a good case for keeping Tanov. Because I think you could get something for him. I think he's a shift away from being done for the season due to injury. And he's an unrestricted free agent. And I don't imagine you'd be looking to, maybe you would, depending on what the contract is. Maybe he's a guy that loves Calgary and likes the fit, and his family likes the house that he's in, and he'll play for $1.5 million or something like that. But I can't imagine. That's usually not what guys do when they're going into their last big chance to cash in on a deal, is take way less. So no, I don't see a scenario. I'm surprised that Zadorov went first, to be honest. I thought if you were out of all of that group, Tanev would be the first guy to go, just because the way he plays. Because you look at some of those D-men, somebody had put some comparables together, like Ben Sherratt, a first-round pick, and a couple years ago at the deadline for the Florida Panthers. I'm trying to think. David Savard got a first-round pick when he went to Tampa Bay. Tanev's kind of one of those guys. Now, maybe you don't get a first, and if you get a second, and it's still. And then if he loves it here, hey, sign him in the summer, I guess, and bring him back. So no, I don't see, if it's me and if the world works the way I want it to, if I'm Craig Conroy, then no. I think I would say it's kind of like when you lease a really good car. I've got a 4-year lease on this reliable, sturdy car, never lets me down. But at the end of the lease, you just kind of take the keys and you put them back on the table and say, well, that was worth every penny. But I'm going to get a newer model and something that's equally as reliable, hopefully, and just take that cap money and move forward. So,
although if he was to, say he gets hurt down the stretch, comes back at the end of the season, post-trade deadline, still a Flame, and you are able to sign him to one of those more sweetheart deals in the offseason, assuming that you're trading like the Hanifins, the Lindholms, and this is looking like a rebuild, that's not the worst veteran to still have on your blue line if you're going to be doing that. Because one thing we've seen with him is he's made so many Flames defensemen play better.
Mm-hmm.
He made Hanifin better. Who was
he and Shillington were dynamite,
it was
right?
Shillington. Yeah, totally. Imagine, like, if you have another young blue liner on the come up, that's not a bad guy to be learning from. And we've seen highlight team and team again. These young defensemen love him.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And if that was the scenario where you could, if he wanted to stay and you could get him for 2 or less, I got no problem with it. Probably. I guess it depends on term, because I don't want a guy that's aging a ton. But the player, the human, is, you can't argue with it. It's great. But and you do not have a bunch of D signed for next year or moving forward. So yeah, you need these kind of guys. But I like to think about what kind of a package, as the league continues to get younger It's all about getting younger. I really drag my feet when people suggest, let's keep signing old guys. Bring the old guy back. Another 2 or 3 years may not look as good as the previous 2 or 3 years. If Tanov didn't have injury issues, how different is the conversation? We'd be calling him for be resigned for 6. No, we wouldn't. It's his age. I'm not against Tanov, and everybody in the chat all loves Tanov tonight. But what is he? Right? He's a rugged defenseman. He's a decent skater
with no regard for his own well-being.
But it's even to a certain, if you watch, he's not as able to avoid the big body checks as he used to be. There's a few more mistakes being made. He's missed time. He's leaving. It's love the player. You love the warrior mentality and the work ethic and all of that. But I don't want to sign injury prone. And yeah, I guess if he didn't have an injury situation, but he does.
He'd be 40.
It's part
in
of
that 6-year situation. He's 34 now. Like,
you're not signing him.
How old was Chara when he finished? And we remember how painful those last few years were watching him, as impressive as his workout videos were.
Tanov fan club in the chat tonight. I didn't realize that was happening tonight. It's all right. He's a likable guy. Great teeth. Raiden, will the Flames trade Vladar for Boomer or Cami? I don't. Are you going to get traded?
I think we
Vladar?
would fetch a higher price, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I think they would, but again, he is making $2.2 million this year and next. And I think you and I have talked about it. Certainly, Pike and I have talked about it on this show. I'm not sure the team or the situation that's out there where they need goaltending help and they see Vladar as such a fit that they're going to take $2.2 million on board for each of the next 2 seasons this year, the remainder of this year and one more, and then pay in assets to get him. I don't think, I just don't see it. Again, the Flames would love it. And I think Vladar's a fine goaltender, but I think at his peak, he's a 1B kind of a goaltender. So
again, it's kind of indicative of what this team is. He's a .500 goaltender. Averages 3 goals against a game, a little more than that. .888 save percentage. 6 wins, 12 starts.
And the goaltending position.
Couple yanks.
God, you look around the league, teams that are flailing for goaltenders. It's like quarterbacks in the NFL. If you have one, you hang on to them for dear life because you never know when you're going to get one again. But I just don't know if his deal was done at the end of this year. I think it's a different story, and I don't think you want to eat money on him because I just don't see. I don't see it. Could he be traded? Absolutely, but I don't know. Was it going to be a 5th round pick? Are you going to trade him for a 5th or a 7th, or at what point is it not worth the juice, not worth the squeeze? I guess.
Isn't that what they got him for?
3rd, something.
Was
like
it a
that.
3rd?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a 3rd.
When will Shillington play? Asks Connor. That'll be very much up to Oliver Shillington and how he's feeling. It was great news today. There you see him on the ice. Going to join the Wranglers and get back to his hockey playing life. He has missed a great deal of time, but did release a press release today saying his mental health, that he's feeling better. He's back to where he needs to be, and he's missed hockey. I'm paraphrasing, but that's long and short of it is he's feeling good, and he's ready to try and get back at it. So the Flames have been very good with him.
Mm-hmm.
There's been no pressure. Whatever the time he needed, he was going to have, and I think that will continue. Obviously, you hope it's sooner than later, but it's a year and change that he's not been on the ice.
May 26, 2022 was his last National Hockey League game. The Wranglers do play this weekend. I would say that would be very, very soon to get him in. We know he's been skating. We know he's been training. that's not the same as game action.
Yeah.
So like you think probably best case scenario for fans, the thing that is most important is what's best for the player in this scenario. Maybe 11th, 12th, they've got a pair of home games against Ontario, Thursday, Friday. Might be nice for him to make that return on home ice with a fan base that's been ravenous to see him back. And I feel as a whole pretty supportive of him.
And I would think that's
It'd be nice
probably,
to see him like get that welcome.
yeah, I think that's probably part of it in his mind too, is knowing that there's going to be a lot of eyes waiting for him to come back. And just that I could just imagine that that's probably maybe part of what would make him apprehensive. I shouldn't speak for him, but, and at the same time, he needs to be ready to play. So depending on how you just assume that because of his skill level and what we've seen from his abilities at the NHL level, that he should be all right. But it may take a little time for him to get his cardio back and to get back into game shape. Because it's a little different when you're taking hits and laying hits and skating like he does. There you see the statement. I'll read it quickly for those that are just listening. I feel I'm in a good place with my mental health and ready to take another step forward. Returning to Calgary has been the right decision. I've felt tremendous commitment from Flames ownership, management, and my teammates, and I'm appreciative of the support and resources made available to me. I also thank my family, friends, and the fans for their encouragement. I'm looking forward to getting on the ice in a team environment and back to my everyday life. I have missed it very much. So that's great.
And the thing that sticks out to me in that statement is another step forward. It's still a journey. It's not poof, you're better, your brain's perfect, everything is great. It is very much still a journey, and it will continue to be a journey for a long, long time. And it does sound like he has tools in place and the support there to help him in any way he can, but there's no point in rushing him.
Yeah.
He's got to do the best thing he can to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Physically and
like
mentally.
you said there,
so good for him.
The Flames have done a really good job there in providing whatever support he needs. So you hope that yeah, everything works out for everybody there. Guy can play. Love to have him in there. Would make
And you can only
everything
imagine, like at the lowest, unlike there are obviously harder days on journeys like this, but you have to imagine he must have thought it wasn't going to happen again for him. And it's so great to see that it's not out of the realm.
Yeah. The old brain can be a hole sometimes.
Fickle
I live with
as
one. I
shit.
got it's no good up there.
Do you?
Oh yeah. My brain, no fun. Complete jerk. Total jerk. What's Boom and Cami's favorite event of the All-Star game?
Not the game itself, that's for sure.
Probably means the skills, probably, right? Is what Yuri probably means there.
Yeah, I like the target shooting.
Yeah, that one's all right. I kind of like when
they got the dunk tank involved last year.
They were doing the stuff at wasn't it Vegas? The Bellagio or the fountains? Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Oh, that was the year before. They were at the beach.
That shows you how much I pay attention. Oh, Florida, right? Yeah. When they put on costumes.
Nothing was lit well enough for me to see what was going on.
Oh, I know. It's tough.
Yeah.
TV, hey? When they put on the costumes and they do the breakaway challenge or whatever, I guess is all right. You know.
I just don't agree with the judging on it.
Controversy. We'll get Gary. We'll talk to Gary. DC, should the Flames trade Dubé to free up his spot for a Wrangler?
Who?
There again, I'm not sure who's trading for Dylan Dubé. He is an RFA who needs to be qualified at the end of the season. I would suggest that he is it's hard to imagine him getting qualified because he would need a raise on his $2.3 million per season contract. I started counting games on the game notes today. When was the last time he scored? I just stopped counting. That sounds like I'm being a jerk, but it's just been so long. And I feel for him because he had 18 goals last year and 18 the year before. And now he's getting 4, 5, 6 minutes a night. And I think he's trying, but it's just not a spot. He's a fourth liner right now. So if you trade, even if you do trade him, which I don't think you can, You're going to bring up maybe Klapka, somebody to fill in on that fourth line spot, I guess would be, because I don't think you want Coronado there. And when Pelche's ready, which we think is probably within the next 4 weeks or so, he's not going to be on the fourth line either. So that said, it's all kind of a part of a bigger conversation. When Pelche's ready, you can imagine he'll start with the Wranglers, but when he's game ready and when Coronado has continued to just score at a very like a great pace, do you just let them kind of simmer for the entire year and then next year at training camp? Because there's a lot of wingers here right now, and barring injury, I'm not sure what you do. Pospisil, maybe you could send down, but he's got to do it. He's got to clear waivers, and I don't think you
I
want to
think
risk losing him on
Dubé
waivers.
would be more likely to clear waivers than Pospisil would.
Yeah, he would clear just because of the contract. He would clear for sure. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I feel for him because I think he's a great kid, and I remember back. It was kind of like when the Flames had Dustin Boyd and David Moss and Curtis Glencross, guys all in that same age group, and who's going to be the one that's going to elevate and move forward? And it was Dubé and Mangiapane kind of in that same kind of a spot. And for a while, it was very clearly going to be Mangiapane, and then he struggled. Maybe it is going to be Dubé, and it's not close right now. We've talked about it, and Rhett's been on the record. It's just this guy needs a fresh start, and because of how the contract situation is, you just don't qualify him. I would guess at the end of the season, he becomes a free agent, and we'll go and find some work somewhere else. It's kind of depressing to think of it that way.
Yeah, I know people always bring up the most fit in camp thing, but that doesn't translate necessarily to points. I'd look at Mason Raymond, fantastic skater to the end, so sharp, so fast, so many good looks, but the points didn't always come when he needed them most.
Yeah. Sad stuff. We score 6. We almost did it, Cami. We almost
so
got through a show without the Huberdeau bash. We score 6, Huberdeau 0 points. Is it noteworthy? Is it a nothing burger? I think it's a nothing burger. I do. You had other guys playing very well. The Kadri line was playing well. His line scored. It's a nothing burger. As Ryan said it the other day, it's a sunk cost. There's no way he's going to ever fully earn that contract, and he may not even at a point. I think Ryan had it. He's on pace for 40 some points, which is even less than what he had a year ago. So, man, you
How
might
about
be
that?
hard pressed. How about that? You'd be hard pressed, I think, to find a worse performing contract in the National Hockey League. I don't know who else. There have been some bad ones, and a lot of teams have them. Ryan was rolling through. There's some teams, maybe they have 2 or 3 guys and it adds up to 10 million, or 2 guys and it's 10 million. Here it's 1 guy and it's no good. So you just got to make sure that the rest of your business is real good. You can't have too many guys stinking up the joint making big money when 1 guy's eating up 10 million of that. And I don't even know what would be.
If they do go full rebuild, at least that guy is getting you to the cap floor no matter what.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's good value. That's probably Jack. Is that you're done, right? Yeah.
Is there anything else?
There's a million questions about Lindholm in the All-Star game, but I think we've done a good job covering that.
Just in terms of should he be going, or why is he going?
Should he be going? Why is he going? Does it help his chances staying as a Flame?
I don't think it does anything for his chances of staying. If anything, to be honest, I think it increases the odds he leaves. It might be just a little bit of ammo that Conroy can use in a negotiation. Well, the guy was an all-star. Guy centered the #1 team in hockey 2 years ago. I do. I feel like he's probably a little bit sheepish about going to the All-Star game because he'll be very aware of what he's capable of doing and what he's not done this year, which is put up big numbers. I feel for Coleman. That's the one takeaway that I feel. And not that his numbers are great either. Let's not get too carried away. But he's leading the team in goals and points and is having for him a fine offensive season and didn't get a sniff. And does he get voted in? Kind of seems like a long shot, but again, if you worry a ton about all-star selections and stuff, I guess it's just a matter of, is he going to Toronto for a few days, or is he going, like you say, is he going to Cancun or whatever he do with his daughters and wife for a few days? What would you do? All-star break. You getting away for the all-star break, Cam?
I got a job. It's getting busy.
Are you?
We had Matthew Savoy and Connor Geekie traded today. There's no days off.
My goodness. The old Western League trade deadline.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Deadline's next week. We got an arms race.
Where did those two gentlemen go today?
So Wenatchee had basically no picks for the next couple of years. And even though they are placed really well right now, they did decide to try to recoup some picks, and they sent off Geekie and Savoy. So now, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this mixed up. So sorry, I've been going through so many releases today. I don't want to mess this up in this moment.
Putting you on the spot.
No, I'm just going to know. Yeah, no, Geekie's going to Swift Current. Matthew Savoy is going to Moose Jaw, which will now be getting 4 players back from World Juniors. So look out for that. Like Swift Current's right in there too. I don't think they'd been as much in the conversation around the arms race. They also added at like a 6'5" defenseman, Dvorak, last week. But Saskatoon has been loading up for this one. They acquired Fraser Minton earlier in the season. They just traded for Alex Suzdalev, a Washington Capitals prospect who played with Connor Bedard last year in Regina. He arrives in Saskatoon tonight. Oh, they're gearing up.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. I worked in covering junior hockey. It was such a big deal in those cities when those big names would come in. I was working in Brandon at a time when they were quite good. Chris Dingman was playing there, Marty Murray. I'm just thinking of, and they traded for Brian McCabe, who was an all-star, was already he came in and he set he was unbelievable to watch. And they traded and brought in, I don't know if you'll remember the name, Oleg Tverdovsky. He was in the Timu Solani trade with Anaheim. And this guy was amazing. He was a top 3 pick, I think, in the NHL draft. All of a sudden, this guy's playing in your little 3,000 seat arena. The town just comes alive. I could only imagine in Swifty and Moose Jaw how pumped they must be for these guys to start playing for their team. So that's awesome. Love it.
Those are the best rinks too. Like when people stand up for the anthem and it kind of shakes a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thinking of Swift Current specifically for that one. I love their rink.
Haven't been in the, because they got a new one. I was in the old one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a full new building or if it just got like a real good facelift because the curling rink is still attached to it. They do have a very large, very low jumbotron, but some of the best rink food in the league.
And they all need jumbotrons, right? I think that was kind of a league mandated thing.
Yeah, there's standards that you have to hit. There's standards
that
you have to hit. Yeah.
The old Medicine Hat Arena was a real treat. You'd have Bob Ridley, the legendary voice of the Tigers, in the press box, and the Tigers are just running up the score, and he's stomping on the floor, and the press box is shaking. You're like, "Jeez, get me out of here."
One rink I wish I could have seen was the Crushed Cannon Moose Jaw. I've heard so many incredible stories about that place. Saddle Dome on acid, fogs up at the top. If you're sitting in the nosebleeds, you can't see across to the other side.
Yeah. That was when you used to be able to smoke indoors, but you could only smoke in half of the rink. So the haze, you'd see the lights, and the haze would be underneath the lights, and then it would slowly creep throughout the whole building. It'd be about by the blue line at the end of the first, then the red line by the end of the second, then it's just everywhere by the end of the game. Good times.
Just scrolling through here to see if there's any more questions. Rennie Chan said, as someone who suffers mental health issues, I'm so proud of Shillington. So proud of you. Proud of you, Rennie. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep taking care of yourself. And bassist. Do you have a favorite bassist, Boom?
I can't say as I do. You. Because I've seen you slap at a bass. I've seen it. I've seen you on social. Slap at a bass.
I used to play in a metal band.
Yeah, you did.
Many moons ago.
Do you or can you do play-by-play? You know your stuff.
I got my start in play-by-play. I think I've done like more than 10 leagues now.
Come on now.
I started in the KIJHL. One Chris Knobloch was the coach for the Kimberley Dynamiters that year.
Whoa. That's a great rink in Kimberley.
Oh, I love the Kimberley rink. And they hold a July Fest, the bocce ball tournament out on the grounds there too. So fun. But no, I did the KI, did some color commentary in the Q. That was really fun. That was when Peltier and Garland were with the Wildcats. We had Shabbat was out there. Noah Dobson was out there. Huberdeau was always hanging around the rink in St. John on his time off. But yeah, no, lots of play-by-play in the old background. So that was kind of how I got into sports. And I thought I wanted to do that, but kind of ended up liking reporting more.
Making me look bad, Cami. No one likes a bragger, you know.
No, now I feel like an idiot for talking about myself too much.
Hey, it's not bragging if it's true. I was always told that. It's not bragging if somebody asks and all of it's true. So
tell me a story about you, Boom. Tell me about some of your finest achievements. Tell me about your favorite pizza.
There's none. This is it. I'm an old man sitting in my house talking talking on the camera. My career is on fire. What's a good two-topper combo for a pizza? There's a special running at a place near me and I need ideas. Well, it would feel like to a certain extent.
Boomer has an amazing poop story. See, you have that.
Yeah, I do. It's also a Keystone Center tie-in. I'm not a chicken on pizza guy. It's not my thing. So I'm going to be, it's going to shock you. I'm going to be old school. It's going to be some combo. It's going to be a meat combo. I do like the Hawaiian. I know that's controversial, but I don't know. I'm not feeling that tonight. It would probably be, I'm going to be doing some pepperoni sausage probably tonight, I guess, depending on the place. If you know that the sausage is good, I'm going to do some pep sausage and probably get extra sauce on it. Because some places, they don't give you enough sauce and then it's all dry. Come on. Get some sauce.
Tomato and peppers.
The
meat just feels extraneous. You got to let the sauce sing.
Do you put pepperoni on top of the cheese or under the cheese?
I don't put pepperoni on.
We're out of time.
Was that you or your dog?
That was me. He does talk, though. He's a talker. I'm not sure why he's in here. I don't know what's going on. Hey, Bear. Hey. Oh, he's out cold.
Oh, he gone.
He gone. Well, that'll do it. Flames with another win. How about it? I'm gonna have to
We're good luck, man. Maybe they should split us up if you want him to tank.
No, that's right. I can't do it. I can't work with Kepke anymore. I want a high draft.
She's out. She's out.
I can't handle it. Nah, you know what? Hey, we appreciate you. You see everybody's loving you in the chat. We appreciate you coming on. You're a keeper. You're going to be doing a lot for us here as 2024. I get the feeling it's going to be a big one for us here at Flames Nation.
Because you guys want weekends off.
No, you know what it's going to be, and this is quite honestly, we're going to be in a position to have some manpower and do more things. Because we got poor Jack there. Jack does the main show and does this show, and RJ is doing all. We've got kind of two guys, and they're doing all of the shows. So, right, Jack?
They're the workhorses. They are the Chris Tanevs of this team.
And see, it's not bragging or complaining when somebody asks, and it's true. Poor Jack. Just working like a dog. So yeah, if we can get some more people around, we can do more things. And doing more things, I think, is always better, isn't it?
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah. Slap it a BS. have a fine rest of your night. Thanks for being a part of Afterburner. Support the sponsors. They make it all possible. It's the only way this whole thing works. It's the only way we get Jack food on Jack's table. It's the only way that works. So don't you want Jack to eat? Don't we all want Jack to eat? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Support the sponsors, subscribe and like, and be good to yourself and be good to those around you. We'll see you next time. See you, buddies.